The Jones children is file J26-386-NA. We are here today on a protective custody matter that was emergency last night. Was scheduled for today. Mom and dad are both present with us. If I can have the appearances of counsel, please, starting with Mr. Vernon.
Adam Vernon on behalf of the department.
Larry Brown on behalf of Ariel Johnson, who is currently lodged.
Donna Hansel on behalf of respondent father Bradley Jones.
All right, thank you very much. And we also have Ann Sullivan from the department with us today. Ms. Sullivan, I assume, Mr. Vernon, that you want to take some testimony from Ms. Sullivan?
That would be the plan, yes, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Sullivan, would you raise your hand so I can swear you in? You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Vernon, go ahead.
Thank you. Ms. Sullivan, you signed a petition asking for the removal of the Jones children, Estelle and Elizabeth, is that correct? And Stephen?
Elizabeth, yes, and Stephen, yes.
And you did the investigation on that before you filed the petition?
I initially did the investigation in August of last year, and then I was just recently reassigned the ongoing case. So it's been an ongoing issue.
And during your investigation, did you have reasonable cause to believe that the children were at substantial risk of harm based on the surroundings that presented an imminent risk of health to themselves?
Yes. The children were at a substantial risk of harm, basically due to the living arrangements.
And what were those?
I was not able to ever verify the living conditions. I had received a couple of CPS complaints this week indicating that the family was living in their car. And as I tried to confirm the living arrangements, there was a lot of deceitfulness and dishonesty. So I was not able to actually confirm that they were not living in their vehicle.
So at this point, do you have any understanding of where the children are residing?
As of today, the children are placed in a general foster home.
So prior to that placement, where was it your belief that they were residing?
I believe that they were residing in their vehicle.
And did you have conversations with either parent to address that issue?
I did several times this week.
And were they able to provide you with sufficient information to allay your concerns or fears for the children's safety?
They were not.
Would it be contrary to the children's welfare to continue residing in that environment?
Yes. The children are very young. They are 10 days old, 1 year old, and 2 years old. So therefore, based on their ages and their developmental stages, they're considered extremely vulnerable children. So it would be contrary of the welfare of the children to remain with the parents due to the housing situation, and the parents haven't been able to meet the children's basic needs.
And I was going to ask about that. Did you have any information that the children's basic needs were being met?
So housing was the biggest concern, but throughout the intervention since August of last year, there have been some situations in which the parents didn't have like milk for the kids, or the living environment was when they were living in the apartment and in a home, the home was very unsanitary at times.
So even when they were in a home, that home was not appropriate?
Correct.
And when they were in their car, did you have an opportunity to view the car that you believed that they were living in?
I did view the car actually earlier this week. The car is jam-packed full of belongings. The trunk of the car was, there were several snacks, like I think I saw some Chex cereal and various items on the floor of the car. The car was pretty dirty on the inside.
When you looked at when you saw the car, did it appear to you as though that it was consistent with somebody who was living in that car?
There were several belongings in there. If they were actually sleeping in the car, the parents would have been sleeping in the front seat, and the kids would have been strapped, probably most likely strapped in their car seats or in their car seats sleeping. There wasn't like sleeping space in the back of the car.
And were reasonable efforts made to prevent or eliminate the need for the removal?
Yes, there were several services that were offered to the family, including the family did have a removal of their children in the state of Kentucky, and they were offered services through the state of Kentucky. The parents' older two children are in what they call a permanent custody with their grandfather. We completed home assessments. Early Head Start was in the home, infant mental health, community mental health services for Ariel. Families First was in the home twice for 2 separate interventions. Families Together Building Solutions. They both completed psychological evaluation. We provided Bradley with funds so that he could get his birth certificate in an effort to get his driver's license. We provided Goodwill vouchers, bed bug kits, pack and plays, diapers, wipes, sleep sacks, food assistance, Medicaid, and NEMSCA provided them with housing resources.
And were those efforts or were those services sufficient to alleviate the housing concerns?
They were not.
And where are the children now?
They are placed in a general foster home in Elmira.
And is that an appropriate and suitable environment to provide for their needs at this time?
It is.
Your Honor, I think that's all the questions I have to ask.
All right. Mr. Brown, any questions that you have of this witness?
Just very briefly, Ms. Sullivan, I had a very brief opportunity to review and scan through this petition. Who is Terry Johnson? Is that Ariel's father?
Yes, it is.
And was there a reason that he could not take the children?
So he will be considered for placement. We have to do a more thorough, we call it a 3130A. So we have to do that before we can place with him. I did have several conversations with him yesterday, and he did agree with that decision. He would be a single caregiver, and he would have 5 children, ages 5 and under in his care. So we want him to be as prepared as possible before placement.
And when the children were removed, what was their condition? Did they appear to be malnourished, or were they having physical difficulties?
So Ariel and Bradley actually dropped the children off at our office last night. The children were, with the exception of Steven was wearing a pajama outfit. They were only in diapers. They didn't have any shoes or any clothing on. The children were covered in bug bites from head to toe. With the exception of Steven, he had clothing on. He did not have bug bites. He had a couple of little scratches on his face, probably from scratching himself. They appeared as though they hadn't been bathed in a few days. They are very small in stature children. I wouldn't say they appeared malnourished, but they are very small for their ages.
Did you say that they dropped them off at your office?
They did. They met, well, I shouldn't say they dropped them off. They brought them to me.
Well, brought them to you.
Yes.
And what was the purpose that they brought them to you?
Bradley had called the intent. Initially, they were going to go to Ariel's father's home, and that's where they were going to be once, if we had received the removal order. Bradley had called me and told me that he did not want to see Terry or have any interaction with Terry, so he was going to bring the children to me.
So did they do that in order to get care for the children so that they would be properly cared for?
I guess I don't understand what you're asking me.
Why would they bring the children to you?
Because I had made Bradley aware that I was filing the petition for the removal. And then after that petition was filed, I told him that I would contact him and let him know if there was a court order for that removal. So in the effort of making arrangements for me to take the children into custody, the arrangement was he was going to bring them to me. Not because he wanted, not that he was like relinquishing the children to me.
I think, Ariel, you're getting into a different case.
We're going to bring that up in a little while, Ms. Johnson, but not right now.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yep. Any other questions, Ms. Hansel?
Just to clarify, if I understand correctly, the children, albeit from the perspective of the worker, they appear to be maybe small for their age, but are, for the most part, they're basically healthy. Is that correct?
I would agree with that.
And that includes the newborn, Stephen?
Yes.
Okay. I have no other questions at this point, Your Honor.
Ms. Sullivan, how long have the children been residing in the car, to the best of your knowledge?
The family had to be out of the home on Sunday, May 31st.
And what activities have DHHS or what services have DHHS provided to the family to prevent them from being homeless?
We had a meeting with I introduced them to we have a new position in our office called the Family Resource Support. I believe it's an acronym, FRS. And they provide assistance with just obtaining resources. She had met with Bradley and had offered to actually fill out a NIMSCA application for him, that they could get the process moving forward for NIMSCA's housing assistance. We had, throughout the ongoing CPS case, we had known that there was possibility of eviction. They were waiting for the official eviction notice so that they could qualify for more services. DHS did offer them to assist to apply for an SER, which is emergency relief. We had also put Families First in the home on 2 separate occasions, and they were helping with obtaining housing because we knew that it was inevitable that the eviction would eventually happen. I met with them on several occasions and had asked them if they had a plan, if they had talked to anybody, just to kind of have a plan in place. I had also talked to Ariel's father. He was willing to take Ariel and the children into his home, but he was not willing to take Bradley. So that could have been an option. We did assist them with the housing situation. It just didn't work.
And that occurred over at least a 5-day period of time?
No, it actually started, we started looking for assistance with housing back in December. Families First started helping them with housing in December, and then it continued on through the ongoing case. This week, I would say on Friday, I had met with them along with the FRS worker and had offered them some resources. I also met with them on Tuesday this week. They told me that they were staying at a friend's home, which could not be verified. They couldn't tell me any information about this friend. I had conversations with Terry this week. I met with them on a couple different occasions. I was on the phone with them constantly all week, trying to assist. I was on the phone with NIMSCA this week.
And I actually did hear from him.
Mr. Jones, you can't interrupt. You'll have a chance to speak in the future if you wish, but not right now. Ms. Sullivan, go ahead.
The FRS worker did meet with Bradley on Tuesday and offered to assist to fill out the NIMSCA application for him. And then she also assisted with a food assistance application in Medicaid, because we had learned earlier this week that those Medicaid for Estella was closed and their food assistance had been closed.
You mentioned in response to a question from Mr. Vernon that there was some deceit about where they were living. Could you flesh that out a little bit more for me, please?
Yes. When I met with them on Friday, I had asked them what their plan was, where they were going, where they were going to go. They told me that there were a couple of apartments on North Center Avenue that they were looking at moving into. I had asked them if they could provide me with the name and phone number of the landlord so that I could verify that there was housing available for them. They told me that they would be going to Terry's home on Sunday to talk to him about staying with him temporarily until they could move into one of the 2 apartments that they were looking at. On Sunday, they were supposed to get a hold of the on-call worker and let her know where they were staying and what their plan was. They did not get a hold of her, so she actually contacted them, and they told her that they were at Terry's home. They didn't indicate that they weren't staying with him. They just said that they were at Terry's home. I had reached out earlier in this week and asked them where they were staying. Initially, Bradley told me he was staying at Terry's home. And then later in the conversation, he said that they couldn't stay at Terry's home until the landlord called him. Again, I asked him for the landlord's name and phone number. He said he didn't have it. It was on a phone that was lost. He didn't even know the landlord's name or any contact information for him. He then said that he was house sitting for a friend and that he was staying in the friend's home. I went outside and talked to Ariel. Ariel told me they were staying in a camper somewhere in Waters. They couldn't provide an address. They couldn't provide a location. The only information I could get was that it was off a side road off of 27, somewhere between Der Miner's Party Store and the gas station in Waters. My supervisor had met with Bradley. Bradley reported that he had given the landlord $800 for a deposit, but still didn't know the landlord's name, or he didn't have a receipt. He didn't have any information to verify. So Lisa had asked him if he could take a picture of the street when he turned down the road to get to the home, and then take an picture of the home numbers. We told him we weren't going to come to the home. We just wanted to verify where they were staying. He wasn't able to do that. He called me and told me his phone was broken. He couldn't send me any of the information. He then called me on today's Friday, Wednesday, and told me that the friend who he was staying with came home. He couldn't stay there anymore. So they had booked a room at the downtown motel. Then I went to the downtown motel to verify that they had stayed there. They said, no, there was nobody ever that stayed there by that name. So I contacted Bradley. I asked him where they stayed that night. He said that he had contacted the downtown motel. They were supposed to stay there, but their reservation got screwed up and they didn't have a room available. They stayed at a hotel in Frederick. As to my knowledge, there's not a hotel in Frederick. He then called.
Say Grayling.
Mr. Jones, you may not interrupt.
So then he had called and told me that he was with the landlord. I missed a phone call from him, but he sent me a text message, I guess, and said that he was with the landlord, that the landlord had talked to Terry, that Terry said that they could stay with him. So then I called Terry. Terry said that he wasn't sure who he had talked to. It was somebody that was with Bradley. They had told him that they could move into a trailer on North Center Avenue this weekend. There's not a trailer on North Center Avenue. They said it was a 3-bedroom trailer that for $800, everything was included. I actually went to the apartment complex one day this week that they said that they were moving into and knocked on a random person's door and asked them who their landlord was and if there was any apartments available for rent in that complex. There were not. And then I told Bradley I needed to meet with his landlord yesterday by 3:00, either in person or receive a phone call so I could verify any of this information. He told me the landlord's phone was stolen out of his vehicle in Detroit. It's been a lot of stories that there's no verification of any of it is true.
Thank you, Ms. Sullivan. Any counsel I'll get to you in just a minute, Mr. Jones. Any counsel have any additional questions for this witness?
No, Your Honor.
Sir.
All right, Ms. Hansel, your client appears to want to say something. Do you want him to do that?
Yes, if he feels compelled to say something, I might be able to clarify something.
Mr. Jones, what is it you want me to know?
So there is a few things that was wrong about that. So my phone did break and I'm stuck on my work app and all that they were wanting me to get verification stuff for. And I did have a booking problem with the booking site that I did, booking.com, and they were supposed to schedule among courts. Sorry about that. One of the people that I know had walked up and started talking. But as I was saying, they screwed up the reservation because they said that they had a room available when they didn't online. So when I went to do that, I went to say I was looking to see if there was anything towards Frederick, but if not, we're looking towards Grayling for something cheaper. But one of our friends did come through for us and got us a cheaper rate with AAA discount.
Okay, so Bradley, I guess what the court is just looking for at this point is we know there's been some confusion, there's been some misunderstanding. Perhaps there has been some things that appeared to be that you weren't being forthright on, but moving forward with this, as we spoke earlier, it's my understanding that we will just at this point deny the allegations. We have went over the petition, and we will ask this to be set for a preliminary or pretrial. Is that correct? That's
Think
what
so.
we agreed to earlier.
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Yeah, we're in agreement. There's been some confusion and perhaps there has been some misleading information, but moving forward, we're seeking a plan from DHHS or to work with the prosecutor to get this matter cleared up. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's enough said of the problems historically.
Thank you, Ms. Hansel. Mr. Vernon, any other witnesses or evidence today?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Brown, witnesses or evidence?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Ms. Hansel, any witnesses or evidence?
No, sir.
All right. Mr. Vernon, any closing statement?
We would simply ask the court to enter an order allowing the department to maintain the children in out-of-home placement and transition to either a family placement or another appropriate placement as becomes available.
Mr. Brown, any comments you wish to make?
Your Honor, it does appear that once Ms. Sullivan told them that she was going to draft this order, that they actually did take the children to her. As far as Ariel goes, I don't think it's going to make a big difference right now, depending on how her next case comes out with any, because she is currently incarcerated.
Thank you. Ms. Hansel, any comments?
No, as I stated earlier, Your Honor, we would waive the reading at this point. We'd ask for the court to enter a plea of denial and ask for this to be set for some pretrial. In the meantime, it's my intent to work with my client and with Mr. Vernon, and perhaps we can come up with some type of acceptable plea.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. It does appear that this matter has already been started. I believe that there is a continued preliminary hearing scheduled for June 16th at 11 o'clock in front of Referee Cooper. I'll consolidate this matter with that so that it may proceed at that time. And Ms. Hansel, if you wish to proceed as towards a plea or some sort of an agreement, you can certainly put that on the record at the time with Referee Cooper at that time. I do find from today's proceedings there is sufficient evidence that a protective order is appropriate. There's reasonable cause to believe that the children were at substantial risk of harm or that they're in their surroundings, that there was present an imminent risk of harm and immediate removal was necessary given their very, very young ages, their vulnerability, the dirty conditions that they were found in, the fact that they were homeless and had been for quite some time, and the multiple efforts to obtain housing prior to the removal all indicate that they were in imminent risk of harm. The circumstances surrounding the ex parte order were appropriate for issuing of custodial paperwork. It was consistent with the circumstances. Reasonable efforts were made to prevent or eliminate the need for removal, and I will adopt the record that was made by Ms. Sullivan as to all of those services that were presented do in fact meet the requirements for a reasonable effort. I do believe that there was no other remedy other than protective custody. The DHHS did try to get the relative, the grandfather who has two of the older children already, and they will continue to explore that, but it was necessary to take the kids at this time because he wasn't able to take the children immediately. And I do believe it is also contrary to the welfare of the children to remain in the home as they were actually kicked out of their house, were living in the car, and the car was not appropriate for them to stay in for a number of days. So immediate removal was appropriate at that time. I will then confirm the prior order that was issued yesterday, confirm the current placement of the children in foster care, ask DHHS to continue to work with the relative as to whether or not ongoing placement with him would be appropriate and under what circumstances that might be appropriate. And I'll move this matter to Referee Cooper's docket. The next scheduled court date for that then will be June 16th at 11 a.m. And we will continue this matter at that time. Mr. Vernon, is there anything else that we can do today?
No, Your Honor, but no.
Any questions or anything else, Mr. Brown?
It appears that Ms. Johnson has had her hand up. I don't know what she wants.
Ms. Johnson, is there anything else I can do for you?
Would we be talking about my releasal after this, or how would that go by any chance? Because I really want to pay this fine.
Again, Ariel,
I'm-
that's a different case.
We're going to talk about that just next. So if you stay right where you're at, I'll ask Mr. Brown to do the same. And then I'll find out whether or not we can get the friend of the court here within the next couple of minutes to take care of that process. If not, it would be later this afternoon that we would do that. I do see Ms. Kraus is here next. So let me this case and then we'll move to that case. Ms. Hansel, is there anything else from your perspective that we need to do today on this protective custody matter?
No, I believe that covers it for my client, Your Honor.
All right, so we will close the protective custody matter and we will turn then to the friend of the court hearing. Those parties that are not involved in that do not need to stay.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Ms. Johnson, if you'd stay, Mr. Brown, if you'd stay, Ms. Kraus, if you would stay. And
Yes,
let
sir.
me switch court cases here. Ms. Wagner, are you still on the line with me?
Yes.
I do not see Ms. Johnson's name on my screen here. Has that been put into the system?
I don't know, but I can put it in there for you.
Would you please? Ms. Kraus is here from the friend of the court. Ms. Johnson, you are here on a bench warrant from the friend of the court for failure to appear on December 3rd of 2025 for a show cause hearing. Because you failed to appear at that hearing, a bench warrant in the amount of $1,200 was made by this court. Mr. Brown is here to represent you on that matter. Ms. Kraus, other than the arraignment on the bench warrant, is there anything else pending before with you for the court?
No, just in regards to the arraignment hearing.
All right. As to that hearing, Ms. Johnson, you have the right to be represented by an attorney if you cannot afford one. I believe Mr. Brown has already been appointed to represent you as to that. You have the right on a bench warrant hearing to have a hearing in front of me as the judge. You do not have the right to have a jury trial. At that hearing, you'd have the right to see, hear, and question the witnesses. You'd have the right to present your own witnesses and get a subpoena from the court to require your witnesses to appear and testify. You could testify or you could remain silent. You'd have the right to have the burden of proof be on the friend of the court's office to prove that there was a violation, such as failing to appear for a court order. And then you'd have the right to appeal. Do you understand the hearing rights that I just explained to you?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Brown, how would your client like to resolve this matter?
Your Honor, at this time, we would just stand mute. And I would ask Ms. Kraus if that bench warrant bond amount, is that based upon the 25% of her total outstanding balance?
At the time of when the bench warrant was issued, yes.
Okay. As far as bond goes, Your Honor, based upon the previous hearing, obviously she has not a dime to her name. I don't know if they get any kind of money from the state or if her
No,
significant
we
other
were
is
wondering-
working
wondering-
currently, or they could set up some sort of a payment plan. But obviously they're going through a lot or she's going through a lot right now and just has no way of posting any kind of a bond at this point.
Ms. Johnson, is there any information about this that you want me to be aware of?
I've just been really struggling and I was kind of hoping I could be able to make a payment plan because I was hoping to get out of here so I could get a job and get things going.
When was the last time you had employment?
It was at Qdoba, I want to say, but that was during my pregnancy. And they underpaid me and they overworked me and I wasn't financially a good, stability for the family. So I had to depart from that job. And after I had my boy, they said I couldn't work for 6 weeks and we got caught up behind that. But when I landed in here, that's why I was wanting to see about a payment plan and maybe getting released today so I could find a job.
Okay, you just had your son about 10 days ago, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so you're supposed to be off work for 6 weeks, is that correct?
I'm supposed to, but I really think this fire matters to be paid. So I'm willing to work. It's okay.
All right, when did you leave Qdoba?
I left that it was right before I gave birth to my son, I want to say.
So you had your son in May, right?
5/26.
I'm sorry?
It was 5/26 of this year
All right,
because
so
they messed up the date.
you worked at Qdoba up to May?
Yes, sir.
All right. Ms. Kraus, under those circumstances, what do you think we should do?
Your Honor, I guess I'm I probably didn't get the information from the last hearing, so I apologize, but I'm not sure as to if there was income or something discussed.
No, there was not. It was a protective
Okay.
custody matter involving removal of the 3 small children, including the infant, from Ms. Johnson as well as her husband. And it involved them being evicted from their home and being homeless as part of the allegations of why the children were removed.
So she just gave birth to an additional child?
Correct. May 26th.
Okay, so there are obviously in regards to a support recommendation with that, potentially a new recommendation should be done. I mean, there is an obligation amount of $302 and the balance is $5,811.35. But given that information, I do know that the court does have the information of a prior stipulation. Don't want to come across as harsh, but yeah, we do need to do something, obviously, maybe starting with a new support recommendation, adding the additional child potentially to this case, but I'm not sure what the status is of who the child's father or anything like that is.
I believe it was Bradley Jones. At least he's
It
the one
was.
indicating that he was the father. I don't know that there's been any determination, and I don't know the status of the paperwork, birth certificate or anything like that. But he was the one in the court proceeding today indicating that the kids were his. So I think what I'm going to do is I believe that Ms. Johnson has any ability to make any payments at all right now.
Correct.
And I don't believe that it's really in her best interest with the child. She has a child that's 2, 1, and now 10 days old, or less than 10 days old. So I don't believe that she's going to have any immediate access to funds to pay. So I'm going to set her bond at PR bond, leave it at what it was, a PR bond, so that she does not have to post any funds. I'm going to require her to give current information to the friend of the court about her circumstances, about where she's living and what her income levels are, and whether or not she can work, and if she can work, where she's going to work in the near future. And then I'm going to ask the friend of the court to prepare a new as to child support as to all 3 children, unless there's some objection from Mr. Jones as to that.
I'm not sure in regards to, because the case with Terry, I believe, is her father, and this is potentially is a guardianship case. I think it would just be refactoring with an additional child.
All right. Right. Terry has the 2 older kids. The 3 younger kids are with DHHS in foster care. They were the 3 that were removed. And so I don't know whether or not, and the DHHS is looking at whether or not Terry's going to get the other 3 children, but it has not been made yet. So if Ms. Kraus, if you would have contact with Ann Sullivan at DHHS, she's the lead agent on this as to where, and in the near future, they'll be making a decision as to where the children are going to be placed, whether or not they go to Terry or not. Ms. Johnson, do you have a piece of information for me?
I just had a question, Your Honor. What's a PR bond?
A PR bond is a short way of saying a bond that doesn't require you to make any money, post any money up front. That means you don't have to pay any money to be released from the jail. So I'm going to do that for you so that you can be released today, but you're going to need to be in contact with Ms. Kraus, because she's going to, in the future, once she figures out where the kids are going to go, she may need to update the current court order or the current recommendation as to what child support is based on where the newest child goes. If they go to your dad's house, then you may owe some additional money to your dad for the additional children that are there. So I want to get you out of jail while we can now. Ms. Kraus will figure out from DHHS where the kids go, and if there needs to be an additional or new order, she'll start that recommendation process. But you're going to need to cooperate with her as to what money you're making, what income level you have, where you're going to start work at, all of those kinds of things. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
But if I may, I was actually gonna let you guys know, I was thinking about working at the same place that Bradley works over at Amazon. So I don't know if that was a thing you guys should know, but I figured I'd let you know anyways. I'm just waiting to get out of here first.
As soon as you get a job, then you can tell Ms. Kraus where you're working. Until
Yes,
you
sir.
get a job, it doesn't really help to say, I think I might get a job. Just when you actually do get a job, then you are required to tell Ms. Kraus where you're working and how much you're making and give her pay stubs and all that kind of stuff. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right. Ms. Kraus, do you have any questions for me about what we're doing today?
I think based on kind of what the synopsis of what you had just said, and I do appreciate that. I apologize for not being right up on
Nope.
what had happened.
We're good.
My thought would be potentially adjourning this out to the referee a few months, doing the PR bond, and then we could do a status of support the additional child and the end case as well, and maybe just kind of wait for those orders if that's the case, and just kind of keep an eye on things, but have it not fall off.
I
Would
think that's a
that
great
make
idea.
me-
Nope, that means you're getting out today and they're gonna refer things to the referee who deals with these things on a regular basis. And we're just gonna